All right, let's get right into this. There's a mysterious new service that's just popped up, and it's billing itself as the next huge leap beyond things like IQ and EQ. It's called the Human Thinking Function Assessment, and honestly, the way they're rolling it out is, well, it's not like anything I've ever seen.
And boom, this is the line that just stops you in your tracks. I mean, forget a normal public launch or some beta test. This thing is being offered exclusively to the 5 most powerful nations on the planet. Right away, that tells you this isn't about, individual self-help. This is about geopolitics from the word go.
So that's the big question, right? What is this thing that's supposedly so valuable, so sensitive, that only the world's superpowers get to even see it? Let's unpack what the announcement actually tells us.
So right off the bat, the announcement makes a really clear, very deliberate distinction between this assessment and the test we all kind of know. It claims it's measuring something fundamentally different.
And here's the core difference they're pointing to. You see, IQ and EQ tests are generally about measuring your built-in baseline ability, the hardware you're born with. This assessment, though, claims to evaluate the current developmental status of that function. So think of it less like measuring the size of a car's engine and more like checking if that engine is running smoothly, if it's been damaged, or if it needs a tune-up.
And that's the whole point, right? It's not just about getting a score. The goal here is to give actionable advice on how to repair a thinking function that's considered damaged or how to do maintenance to keep it in top shape. Now, just imagine applying that idea to an entire country's population. The implications are absolutely staggering.
And it just gets wilder from here, because if the concept itself is ambitious, the price tag and the client lists are on a whole other level.
Yep, there they are, the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council, the only entities on the entire planet being offered this service. That is not a coincidence. It's a very clear choice that frames this whole thing as a tool for national strategy.
And there's the price of admission, a starting fee of $1 billion. Or, for some countries, an even crazier number, 0.3% of their entire gross domestic product. You gotta ask yourself, what on earth are they promising to justify a price tag like that?
Now this is where it gets really fascinating. Check out the split in the fee structure, because it kind of starts to answer that question. Projects like reducing crime or promoting world peace, apparently those are free. But the paid services? We're talking about adapting the populace for economic development and creating belief-based functions. One list sounds pretty noble, right? The other, that sounds a whole lot like societal engineering for a fee.
So why would a nation pay $1 billion for this? Well, the source suggests the goals go way beyond just simple testing. The aim is to fundamentally shape society itself.
Let's just pause on this for a second. This might be the single most provocative line in the entire announcement. The service is offering to teach a government how to create the actual knowledge that forms the foundation of belief systems, things like religion or political ideologies. That is an absolutely incredible claim of power.
And this just drives home the scale of their ambition. You see the pattern here, right? It's a 3-pronged approach. First, educate the public's thinking on a mass scale. Second, adapt them to better serve the economy. And third, craft the very belief systems they follow. It's like a complete toolkit for influencing a population. Okay, so that's the VIP package for the superpowers. But what about every other country, every other organization and political party in the world? Well, the announcement has a very, very different message for them.
So while the global heavyweights get a $1 billion consultation, everyone else gets a list of questions. The source calls them general points for consideration, but the tone, frankly, is pretty dismissive. It's almost challenging.
The message starts with a challenge, basically a pop quiz. It immediately sets up a hierarchy. We have the answers, and the first question for you is, do you even know the basics of the field?
Then the questions turn inward, and they get a lot more pointed. It's implying that these other groups, whether they're countries or parties, are already using these so-called belief-based products, but that they're doing it completely blind, with no real clue what they are or what they do.
And from ignorance, the message pivots straight to negligence. This isn't just a friendly inquiry anymore. The question of consequences directly implies that what these groups are doing is having a real and probably negative effect on the minds of their people.
And then, bam! It all leads to this final direct question. This is a flat-out accusation.
Are your activities causing actual, specific, functional damage to the way your followers think? The message is crystal clear. You're not just clueless, you might actually be harmful.
So when you put it all together, the exclusive clients, the insane price tag, the condescending questions for everyone else, it all boils down to one final critical point.
And just when you think you've got a handle on this whole thing, the source drops one last little bombshell. After laying out this massive global strategy, this mysterious group announces they're looking for collaborators. Who are they? Who do they want to work with? It just adds this whole other layer of intrigue to the affair.
And this is the thought that I really want to leave you with. This entire proposal, from the tests to the consultations, it all rests on one fundamental idea: that a thinking function can be healthy or damaged, that it can be in need of repair. But who gets to make that call for an entire nation? Who gets to define what's healthy and who decides what's broken? That's the real billion-dollar question, isn't it?